Before long, other families were traveling over the Wilderness Road into Kentucky. Most of the pioneers had to travel on foot. It was a long and dangerous trip, and they suffered many hardships. At last, the wonderful news came. The fort at the end of the trail was in sight. The guard thought he saw something in the distance, and sure enough, it was a new band of pioneers. The guard shot his rifle to let the people in the fort know that the settlers had arrived. Then the guard jumped up and down and waved his hands to let the settlers know he had seen them coming. The pioneers were weary and tired, but as they came closer to the fort, their troubles seemed to be over, for they knew they would meet their loved ones and friends once again. Inside the fort, there was a lot of greeting. Families talked and shook hands. They talked about old friends and some of the hardships and experiences they had coming to Boonesboro. The fathers were especially happy to see their children, for they had not seen them in a long time. The pioneers laughed and talked for hours. This was truly a time for celebration. After having found a cabin, cleaned up and rested, the pioneer families celebrated their arrival. They had a big feast, after which they were singing and dancing. Daniel Boone was the caller, and he was a good one, too. Mr. Jones was a very good fiddler. When he played, everyone wanted to dance. Of course, the Virginia Reel was one of their favorite dances. True, the pioneers were tired and weary, but never too much to dance and sing.
During the next year, all went well with the little settlement. The crops were good and there was plenty of game. But as more settlers arrived, the Indians became alarmed. There were many fights with the Indians. Once Daniel Boone was taken as a prisoner by the Indians. The chief decided to adopt Daniel as his son. He would be proud to have the great hunter Daniel Boone in his tribe. They pulled out his hair a little at a time, leaving only a thick bunch on the top. This was the scalp lock. All warriors wore their hair this way. They put some feathers in his hair and painted his face and body with bright colors. Daniel made the Indians believe he was happy with them. Blackfish, the chief, took Daniel by the hand and made a long speech. He was given the new name Black Turtle. Daniel lived with the Indians many months. One day he learned that they were planning to attack Boonesboro. He knew he must escape and warn the settlers. Finally, he got his chance. For 5 days and nights, he traveled through the forest to Boonesboro. The settlers had never expected to see him again. His wife had gone back to North Carolina, for she thought he was dead. Life at Boonesboro was very difficult for the new settlers. However, they soon became accustomed to it. There was always moments when they could stop and chat about their daily activities. There were many things the women had to do in those days. The daughters had many more chores besides tending the babies. Hands were always kept busy. Besides cooking, sewing, doctoring, and many, many other things the mother had to do, she always found time to work on that special quilt. There were no places to buy bullets, so the men made them by hand. Lead was melted in the fireplace in a spoon-like container. Then the hot lead is poured into a bullet mold. The bullet mold looks like a pair of pliers. Then, after he has several bullets made, he shapes them with his knife. The men always took very special care of their guns. They always kept them loaded so they can be used in cases of emergency. Most pioneers kept their guns above the mantel of the fireplaces. They took the guns down when they left the cabin and put them up when they returned. Daniel Boone lived in Kentucky for many years. He had many encounters with the Indians, but always managed to get away. One day he was in his drying shed drying tobacco leaves. 3 Indians came up behind him. Boone turned around. "We got you now, Black Turtle. You no get away this time. We take you to Blackfish. You no escape again." Boone acted as though he was glad to see his old friends again. He was very calm and continued working. All the while he kept on talking to them. Finally he offered them some tobacco leaves. The Indians were very interested. While they were looking at the tobacco leaves, Daniel Boone took some tobacco dust and threw it in their faces. The Indians began to cough and sneeze and rub their eyes. They jumped up and down. They were furious to think that Daniel Boone had tricked them again. Kentucky was getting too crowded for Daniel Boone. He needed more elbow room. One day 3 hunters told him about Missouri. So in 1789, the year George Washington became our first president, Boone left for Missouri on the other side of the Mississippi River. He had been in Kentucky 20 years. Daniel Boone continued to hunt and trap for many years. He had taken many trips west. He was now wondering what was on the other side of the Rocky Mountains. Daniel lived to the age of 86. To the last, Daniel refused to sleep in a bed. He always wrapped himself in a blanket and slept on the floor. He said he did this because it reminded him of the many pleasant nights he had spent on the ground in the forest.
And leave the cloudy high.